G'day guys, just want to say a massive thank you for listening to yet another episode of the MacPack Podcast.
The best way to support the show is to send it to your friends.
That's right. If you love us, then your friends are going to really love us.
Why are they really going to love it?
Because they love you.
Because
you can show your love by sending us
to
love.
them. So much love, and I love it.
So simply just share this episode with your mates. It's the simplest and most efficient way that you can support the MacPack Podcast.
I'm going well, lads. Fantastic to be with you once again.
It's always good to hear from you. Another comedy week is on the horizon, kicking things off on the 4th of August all the way through to the 9th of August yet again this year. Talk us through what we can expect.
Well, surprisingly, this is the 5th year, so time absolutely flies. And the interesting thing is, it feels now that this particular event has a little bit more awareness in the community.
Yeah.
As I said, we've been around for 5 years. It takes a couple of years for these things to kind of get into the sort of public zeitgeist. But yeah, as I mentioned, we're up to year 5. We're back in Subiaco, and we have a footprint across 6 venues. So we're using Bark, we're using Lum's Wine Bar, we're using the Vibe Hotel Rooftop, we're also using the Subiaco Bar and Bistro, and we have the Subiaco Art Centre as well. And then one new venue we've also added this year is the McNally's Irish Pub on Rockaby. So those 6 venues are all based in Subi, and in total we have 11 events through the week.
Yeah, massive.
That's huge. You got a little game of Monopoly going in the Perth CBD. Putting the hotels down everywhere. That's awesome. You did mention our old stomping ground, Joey Bark, Subiaco, mate.
Yes, Bark. That is where me and Riley did our debut comedy set.
That's right, Fresh Comedy, and Fresh Comedy is being held there again, right? That's all the fresh faces we can expect on Tuesday night, right?
Yeah, that's right. So that's a really fun gig. I think particularly for people that don't necessarily have those responsibilities, you know, younger folks, students. So that one is on at 8:30, runs 9:30. In my eyes, it's a lot of the sort of top up-and-coming stand-up talent. And I had an opportunity just in June to observe 40 of the top up-and-coming comedians in Perth.
Yeah, cool.
Wow.
And that was part of Next Gen Comedy. So what I essentially did, I used that as an opportunity to kind of headhunt who I'd put on this Fresh Comedy Showcase.
Yeah, nice.
So there's, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, I think it's 8 comedians that are sort of up and coming. They all do about 5 minutes each. And then the great thing for the audience as well, the host is a very funny guy called Luke Joseph Ryan.
Yes, we're very familiar.
He's you know, very improv-y, very casual, and he's friendly. So anyone that kind of has those concerns about like going to comedy and they're going to be kind of picked out by like a host that's going to embarrass them, he's totally going to do that.
It is it is WA Comedy Week. So, and correct me if I'm wrong, but is it the only comedy festival in the world that is just WA talent?
Well, it actually would be by default. So, look, to be honest, this concept doesn't get, in my mind, enough credit that it deserves, because essentially the reason why the whole WA Comedy Week exists, I've seen that within the Perth/WA marketplace, we do have lots of comedy events and we do have lots of comedy clubs, but there's nothing that specifically creates a platform to showcase and celebrate the WA comedy scene.
Yeah, true.
And like, say for example, and I don't have any axe to grind with these other events, but Perth Comedy Festival, that largely does champion the international and interstate comedians.
Yeah.
Don't get me wrong, some locals do get a go during Perth Comedy Festival, but that's not really what that particular event is all about. And then Fringe World, another amazing event, that very much is all about, you know, burlesque, comedy, dance, theatre. And whilst comedy and Perth comedy does happen within that, it can get a little bit lost. So I wanted to pick a time of year where we weren't sharing the spotlight with interstate or international comedians or other art forms. So I think the WA Comedy Week platform, it really just kind of complements the other existing events within the Perth comedy calendar. Okay, really, really good question. So I think you hit the nail on the head. The showcases are very much like a buffet. You kind of go in, you get a bit of a sample of everything. And I'm realistic that if we were to put on shows that were based on some of the comedians' names alone, that may not be enough of a hook because some of these folks haven't quite built up their national or international profiles. So putting it under a very easy to consume format, such as a showcase that has a theme, that's a great way for people to go, hey, let's check out the best gals on the scene that are kind of doing stuff. Or let's check out the best queer comedians on the scene. But getting back to your question, these are the people that I think that are actually on, in form at the moment. And I've put them in my WA Comedy All-Star show. So the first one is Tarbo. He is originally from Zimbabwe, but he's been based in Perth for a long time. He won the Comedy Lounge Comedian of the Year in 2025.
Yeah, cool.
And so he's already really well respected within the Perth comedy club scene. And more recently, when I put together a WA Comedy All-Star show at Heath Ledger Theatre back in May, I had 8 comedians, and Tarbo was one of them. And in my opinion, out of the 8 comedians that were on that lineup, and it was a sold-out show, it was about 550 people, he took that opportunity and slayed. And I reckon anyone that's really going to do big things, when they're given the opportunity, they seize the moment. And for me, he stood up, was counted, and was definitely the standout of that night. So I was like, okay, when I do the WA Comedy All-Star show again for WA Comedy Week, I'll get him back as a bit of a reward for how well he did. The only stipulation that I gave Tarbo, I was like, look, you need to do a new 10-minute set. You can't do the same one as the Heath Ledger one because I'm going to have some repeat patrons.
Yeah, true.
The next person that I think's absolutely doing great stuff, there's a guy called Brian Shields.
Yes.
And you guys might know him through the podcast world. He is one of the hosts of the Grin Reaper podcast.
Yes.
And he's kind of moved from being sort of affiliated with that podcast. I believe he also was part of that sort of tension crew that does kind of like skits and spoofs and stuff, like part of the bodyboarding kind of skating thing. And he's been doing comedy for maybe like the last 5 years. And what's really happened in the last couple, when major international American comedians have been touring Perth, he's been asked to do the support spot. So he's been getting a lot more confident doing bigger venues. And more recently, I don't know if he did this off his own back or somehow he got some assistance from the Comedy Lounge folks, but he was recently gigging at the Comedy Store in LA within the last 2 weeks. So he flew himself out to LA, somehow hooked or sweet-talked his way onto one of those club nights. And they're not easy to get onto because you can imagine there's all sorts of driven, successful comedians based in LA that would, have the ability or the connections to be on those lines for him. But he was on one of them.
Yeah, right.
And that was really my sign because, look, Brian's someone that mostly gigs through the Comedy Lounge. I haven't had him on a lot of my shows. And one of the great things of WA Comedy Week, even for me, is to go, hey, who are some people that I may not have been working with that are doing great stuff that really deserve an opportunity in their own backyard to be kind of spotlighted. So Brian is also on the WA Comedy All-Star Show. That's at Subiaco Arts Centre on the 8th of August. So I really feel like them two, there's something that happens. You guys know with regards to even bands or things like that. When a band's got heat, there's this energy where that particular artist is just kind of knocking it out of the park consistently. And probably the equivalent that I've seen in the past when someone catches heat. Rory Lowe, I've known him since he was kind of open micer.
Yeah, cool. Yeah.
There's this moment where they kind of take a step forward and it's very obvious, and then all these extra opportunities start piling on. Another example of that would probably be also Daniel Delby. He is someone that works really hard within the Perth comedy scene. And now he's basically touring all over Australia. He was on Britain's Got Talent. Don't ask me how he got on that show because he's Australian. But him and the freestyle rapper McShane, they were on Britain's Got Talent and made it through the semi-finals. And Simon Cowell loved them. So, look, I guess what this really gets back to, in a broader sense, this is just showing that the WA comedy scene, it's done some great things already, but there's already some really positive signs for the next step it's going to take.
Yeah, absolutely. No, it's massive. We actually had the fortune of seeing Brian Shields open for Jeremy Piven when Jeremy Piven was out in town. So it's exciting to hear that he's getting some recognition over in the States as well. From our own point of view, I'd very much be recommending getting to the Fresh Comedy Showcase. Just the energy in the room, similar to what you were saying. The energy in the room is wild. You got a lot of nervous energy from people getting up for the first time.
And when people do knock it out of the park, the crowd feels happy. They feel happy. It's just a good vibe all around.
The reward's 10 times greater.
Absolutely. Everyone's rooting for them. You can obviously go and grab your tickets at wacomedyweek.com. Ronan, thanks again for joining us on Radio Freo yet again, mate.
Thanks, Mac, Pat, crew, and thanks to all your listeners. Keep supporting the boys and keep supporting WA Comedy.
Good man. See you, mate.
Thank you.